Nigeria's quest for sustainable industrialized economy has been dragging for long. Major challenges to experts is inadequate electricity supply, frequent national grid collapse, vandalism, and theft of electricity installations are said to have played a major part in hindering the country from meeting up with its electricity demand, estimated to stand at 20,000 megawatts daily. Nigeria installed electricity capacity is estimated to be around 13,000 megawatts, and the national grid transmission capacity is about 8,700 megawatts. But only about 4,700 megawatts is actually dispatched on a daily basis. The country has invested so much on its electricity supply, but how impactful has the effort been? On the spot, we'll take a look at the transmission section of electricity supply. With one of the major actors, I am Joseph Oten. Welcome to the program. Now, my guest is an accomplished electrical engineer with more than 3 decades experience in the Nigerian power sector. He holds a PhD in electrical engineering and several master's degrees in engineering, information technology, and business administration. He is also a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and a current registered professional. My guest has headed many sectors across regional and national levels, contributing significantly to grid expansion, substation upgrades, and power infrastructure optimization. On the spot is the Executive Director, Transmission Service Provider, TSP, at the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. Oluwagbenga Ajiboye. Welcome to the program.
Good day, sir.
Okay.
Well done, and the viewer.
All right. We're discussing power sector.
You are welcome.
Electricity is very, very crucial.
Yeah.
From the intro there, you've known
Yes.
Nigeria needs about
Over 20,000
megawatts. But for now, distribution is just about 8,000. And that's the capacity we have to distribute. And then right now we just have about 5,000, is it 4,700 plus.
Okay.
Should we say the transmission is the problem now?
No. It's never.
A lot of people out there are saying the transmission is
Now,
the problem.
because they don't understand clearly how the power value chain operates. It is true that the weakest link in the power value chain will be the equivalent of the efficiency of the total value chain. Let me give you just a scenario. The value chain of power in Nigeria, as we have it, because we rely mostly on fossil fuel to burn, to generate in the thermal. So that chain comes from the gas. Gas to the machine itself, that is generator. From generator to transmission. From transmission now to the end user, which is distribution. Any weakest link there is the total amount of the capacity you will get at the output. So when you
which of them is the weakest link?
That's why I'm telling you now. I will explain to you.
Okay.
Now, when you look at it, if there is no gas and the generation is low, there is nothing transmission can do. It's whatever is given by transmission that will be taken to the distribution. When you are talking of it again, if the transmission cannot evacuate all from the generation, distribution will only get the maximum transmission can evacuate. When you talk again, if the distribution cannot pick all that is generated, what you will have on the grid will be the total capacity ready to be taken by distribution company. So as we have it now presently, the demand of the DISCO is what we are meeting as we are talking. So you cannot quite say simply from that the capacity is the demand by the generation. This also depends on the consumer, the off-taker. If you decide not to take power, you switch off your power. I cannot we power. We don't store power presently. We don't have the facilities to store it. But it's already being built, developed, that you can store power. But presently, we don't store power. Whatever is generated at that moment, it should be an equilibrium.
Why can't we store power?
It's a new technology. We call it battery electricity storage system. It's BSS. It's just developed all over the world, and we are already in talk to be able to do that for stability. So it is not so simple like that. So whenever you see what is happening now, I will tell you categorically, if we are ready in Nigeria market to take up to more than 8,500, 8,700, the transmission can still withstand that capacity. But you need to ask your question, has DISCO ever requested for that level of energy? The second one, has the consumer ever requested for that type of energy? We have an instance.
Nigerians are always crying over, we don't have power supply.
You can say you can say you don't.
So the consumer is always demanding.
No, you can say you want power. Are you ready to pay for it? The DISCO, they are business organization. They don't take power to where it will not be paid for. You can be clamoring that you need power. Because presently, you can be hearing about the subsidy market. Government is not paying some part of the subsidy. The generator are shouting that they want to shut down because they are in the gas sector. So also, the distribution are shouting that people are not remitting money. So we have this ideology in the DISCO marketing scheme. That
I think people are ready to pay for. But if you look at the costs of which many industries use to buy diesel,
I will get to that.
And then the cost of paying for public electricity power supply, it's far. The gap is there huge.
I will get to that.
So I think they should have enough to pay for the power.
Development. If you could see, recently we have what we call performance improvement plan. Because we have a lot of stranded capacity in so many places. But we realize that the low center are few that need this energy. So it's just like investing everywhere. But you need political consideration also. I cannot put all my investments in Lagos, Ibadan, Kano, and Port Harcourt. Other people everywhere want power. It's now you deploy the power, is it being used? So we have this plan. I call the value chain, we call PIP now, Performance Improvement Plan. The DISCO tell the transmission where they want power. We now reinforce that area to take more power there because they believe they have more people to pay for power there. But we have in some investments that only 10% capacity are being utilized. The DISCO will say they don't need power in that place because those people are not paying. So it's like buying and selling. If you have a shelf that you put display market, people keep on coming to pick, they are not ready to pay, you shut down that shop. That is what, I'm not holding brief for DISCO. You can also interact with them and know their problem about revenue collection. So when you talk about that, presently we are going on with the improvement plan we have to be able to take load to where the DISCO wants it so that they can earn more money. But the investment is not what you do in 6 months. We keep on, electricity investment is big, it's bogus. It takes you years. If we have proper funding.
If you've been hearing the billions that have been going into this electricity sector, yes. You know that the investment has been there. That's what Nigerians always question. So much investment in billions of naira, but we keep asking questions. Let me just ask the question, okay. What do the country need to do to evacuate the power that's generated? That's a transmission company. What do we need to do?
We have put enough investment to be able to evacuate the power, and we are still developing. As I'm talking to you presently, within the last less than 18 months, we have added about close to 900 MVA capacity in transformation. And we are doing the conducting of the line. The meaning is that we have some issue, what we call right-of way. You see, when people are talking of evacuation, now I cannot evacuate more power to some area because I cannot construct new lines. The right of way, I cannot demolish anybody's house. We now come with the innovation like this because you go around the whole world, the problem you have here is sometimes in another place. And how do they solve it? We have the capacity of some conductor. There is innovation, improvement in the capacity of the conductor. Instead of me to use the one that will only carry 400 amps, 400 megawatts, I change it to the new one that can carry 900, 1002. The meaning is that I have to put investment in that axis without necessarily obstructing the right of way. I use the same right of way. I don't need to pay money to anybody. I don't need to demolish anybody's house. That's what we call reconductoring. We take more power by changing the conductor and some accessory to the low center. We are doing that, and we are going to get there. But it's not easy, because as at the time I'm doing that, if it's a radial line, if I only go to that community or that substation with one line, you know I will be disrupting the supply. So we always look for alternative. How can I get supply to this area before I start doing reconductoring of this area? So when you are talking of investment, the money are so bogus. When we hear million, trillion, you ask yourself, you have billion. You ask yourself, convert it to dollar. How much equipment can you buy?
Grid collapse. Grid collapse. And you're talking about funding now. You're talking about equipment that are needed, because from what our understanding is that when there's an imbalance, it could lead to that grid collapse.
Yes.
So probably if some of the equipment are substandard, they could lead to grid collapse. So what are these attributes now to this grid collapse? Is it it has got to a certain stage that Nigerians believe that there could be sabotage. Is it the issue of capacity to manage the grid, or sabotage, or the use of substandard materials along the
value chain? I can only talk for transmission.
Okay.
There is no way. People have been saying it in some quarters about substandard equipment. It is very difficult to enter our line of construction, because we order with standard regulation from manufacturer. That is the first thing I want us to correct about substandard in transmission network. It's not possible. We are open about standard and design. We have a department for that. We give you the specification before you manufacture. We go for factory acceptance test. And some of them we do what we call disruptive test. We test them to the limit where they will fail, so that we don't subject them more than that if you can withstand it. So, as I've told you, I cannot brief further, but I know it's very difficult to enter the transmission, because we start with the manufacturer. So when you talk about this grid collapse, in other forum I have opportunity to talk. All the people involved in value chain can cause grid collapse. If the gas fail and a generator threw out about 400 megawatts, and my generation is just about less than 4,000 at that time, the moment I exceed, I lose capacity of more than 10%, my grid enter oscillation. If not quickly arrested, it will lead to collapse. But you need now to understand, what do we call collapse? Collapse is absence of voltage total on the grid. Most of the thing we term as grid collapse has actually not collapsed. In the year 2024, we are talking, people are saying 14, 15, 16. Actually, we had 9. We had 9. And 4 were typical total collapse. The meaning is that no supply anywhere on the grid. We have to restart entirely. But some, we have what we call disturbances. It can isolate some area. People will be saying no, grid is not collapse. When we check, because now, thank God, we have NISO. They are the ones that oversee the grid. They will tell you, no, as at now, we have not lost the grid. But maybe Lagos is out or Kano is out. The people in Kano will say collapse. No, it's not like that. But when they give us the overall report, at the instance we lose supply in the whole grid, no voltage, is when we recognize as grid collapse. And when you are talking about sabotage, we have traced to sabotage. Okay. If you see recently, in 2024, you see people vandalizing TCN tower, pulling them down. They will even bump some. And instances we lose more than the capacity we can withstand, the system goes into problem, and we might not be able to harass it. So we had 4 instances recorded, total collapse. And some are not attributed to TCN, some are attributed to generation. This is the analysis we normally do. So when people say there is system collapse and they push all the blame on TCN, we normally try to come open to tell you, no, there was a collapse failure, but it was not caused by TCN. The one that is caused by TCN, we quickly tell you this is what caused it, and this is what we are doing to be able to arrest it so that it doesn't happen in the future. So most of the time, all the participants in market value chain can cause system collapse or instability to the grid. During rainfall sometimes, I have a station that has about 1633 kV feeder. So this 1633 kV feeder If 13 of them trip, and I lose more than 120 megawatts, even close to 180 megawatts, how do you expect the system? And we don't have the automatic voltage control in the generation that's supposed to respond in seconds. What we are talking about is in milliseconds to respond to ramp down. If the frequency becomes so high, the generator will trip. If we don't have good SCADA, you will not be able to identify, because these things are in milliseconds to each other. I have to identify that it was the loss of supply in disco that make the frequency to go up, that makes also generator to trip. Or is it on the frequency relay you install on TCN equipment that fail, that make it to happen? These are the analysis you need to do. But immediately we have outage, everybody just say TCN, TCN.
Yeah.
Actually, they have to keep quiet because they manage the grid. But they are not the only people that contribute to it on the grid.
Okay, as well explained. We'll take a break now, and then we'll come back. We'll now continue with the conversation.
Yes.
Okay. All right, stay with us as we take this break. All right, thanks for staying with us on the spot with the Executive Director, Transmission Service Provider, TSP at the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, Oluwagbenga Ajiboye. We've been talking about so much because we're talking about the value chain entirely. You brought the issue of vandalism there that I got very, very interested. We've been having this for a while now. We have, can we say bandits attacking installations, and then we equally have theft. People removing, and what Nigerians question at any time it happens is that, oh, this is a high-profile crime. An ordinary person out there will not just go out there, and at the same time they now bring it back to the professionals themselves and say they are the one responsible for this. What's your take on this?
I normally take exception to that because the TCN staff are well trained.
An ordinary person like me cannot just try.
I will tell you that ordinary person are doing it.
Okay.
These equipment are, most of the things they vandalize are the transmission towers that are outside, either in the bush, far away from where people are. You know, they are made of iron, quality, galvanized, angle, and channel iron. We design them according to the wind zone. The higher the wind zone, the bigger the weight, so that it cannot be blown off. Some people have known that the weight matters when you want to sell scrap. That is what they go for. I tell people, they say TCN staff cannot go there. Ordinary welder can go there because you know the value, you know how to use bolt and nut, spanner to remove bolt and nut. We introduce what we call anti-theft bolt and nut.
Okay.
They will bring grinding machine, grind it off with power generator to the bush. So when you look at it, I keep on asking, of all the people arrested so far, none across the whole nation has linked any TCN staff. That should be enough evidence and conviction for the populace that we are not involved. Because you are trained, you know the cost of this equipment. You know when you are stealing something, you sell it at any price.
Yeah.
But me that know the value of this equipment, if I steal equipment of 1 million, and somebody say want to offer me 10,000 with the risk I took, I won't go back there. In 2024, it was so bad. We recorded in 43 incidences, about 137 towers were vandalized, with about 9 total collapse. This year, up to this time, as of June 10th, we have recorded about 15 instances with 43. When you are talking of spending only on repair, the money you did not plan to spend, about a budget of 11 billion to bring back this equipment in a year, you can see that it doesn't give us room for the planned investment to expand. One, you know this is a value market now that we earn money. Is the energy we export, we are able to transport that we are being paid for. We don't have federal budgetary allocation now for the past 7 years. So, and it's impacting negatively on us because apart from the fact that we need to spend money to repair, we lose money for not transporting power. We even give phone, small phone to some community. They will reach out to us. We quickly call the security agent. Sometimes they disperse them because they are harmed. Sometimes they arrest some, like in Bayelsa and Rivers, because the Bayelsa government has been cooperating with us. You know, they were thrown into outage for over close to 3 months when they vandalized about 13 towers within few days. And we had a lot, about 5 or 7 collapse. So it took us time to be able to do it.
Okay, let's go back to electricity supply itself. The synergy between the value chain itself, because we have situations whereby some of the distributors, we are having just this megawatts and on this all we have and this is what we can do. How much of that interaction, how key is that interaction so that you kind of have a seamless system? Because it shows kind of a fracture within the system itself.
There are 2 ways to that. You see, the market, the way it's structured now, the DISCO nominates the energy requirement ahead. A day ahead market is what we call it. You tell me you want 600. Apart from the micro allocation you have, you need to still tell us the market is NISO, what you want to take. Based on what you want to take is how the energy will be shared, the available generation. If it is full, with gas everything and generator available, you take your full allocation. If not, you pay some penalty. It's a principle to keep everybody in check. Also, TCN, if I cannot give you that power, I have deficit, I pay. So if you cannot take the energy and you waste my resources, you pay. So these are the way the market is being managed. But we have unforeseen circumstances. Okay, let me say today, we budgeted to consume 5,000. That is what we put on paper. But unfortunately, it rained. I cannot take that power. It means generation has to go down. Unfortunately, again, the GENCO cannot meet that target. We have to go down. It can happen that we have transmission problem. But the regulator is putting a mechanism in such a way that nobody goes scot-free. If you say this is what you want to do and you cannot do it due to my fault, I will be responsible for that. So we have this synergy in the value chain. Without it, we cannot work. What I look at and what I think is this. If there is improvement in purchasing.
But the heavy industries themselves alone should be able to even take care of most of
that. That is what I would go to. You don't grow electricity company, industry, by relying on domestic consumer. How much do they consume? We are looking at targeting industrial that are off the grid to come back to the grid. So many factors affected that. Localization of industry might be off where we are the grid. The investment to take power there. But with the public-private partnership that is we are embracing now, I can use other people to invest even if I cannot go. And people have been approaching us. We can now run 132 that can take more power. Even some people have applied to do 330. So if they can do that one, you will see that we will grow the energy. This should be incentive for private to come and partner with the public. By so doing, you will see if this investment and this show of interest continue, because we are discussing and we have given license to some people on 330, on 132. Those one can offtake. The person that wants to build 330, it means it will need energy requirement of nothing less than 500 megawatts. The one that want to build 132 need energy of nothing less than 120 megawatts. These are the targets now we are looking at, and they are very constant. Please note, only 20% of our consumers are on band A so-called from the survey. So other people are still on band B, C, and D. The energy might not get to them. But with improvement, we are being asked, because we have signed an act, a guideline with the regulator, you must improve. This line must not trip more than 1 hour in a day. These are improvements we are making. And the market will see, when these people that need energy, some people are migrating back because they have seen that the energy is constant. Now, you don't need to use the generator more than 2 hours or 1 hour in a day. Not the other time when they were using power, public utility as backup and generator as main supply.
Okay. All right, we can't really exhaust talking about electricity supply in the country. Thank you so much. Oluwagbenga Ajiboye, Executive Director, Transmission Service Provider, TCP at TCN. Thank you we do appreciate you. Thank you for being on the spot.
Thank you, the viewer. I appreciate that.
All right, that is it today on the spot. I'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye.